Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our first game into the Gold to Diamond quarterfinals. Is going to be round number 4, and here we are. This is going to be a really big one because this can be the first time that we're going to have a Zerg player in the semifinals, and this time is gonna be a PvZ, and you can already see the Protoss gatekeeping here. It's Jomski versus Garchuu, and I cannot wait for this game. Seems like the Alma part are still gonna be away from now, so looks like Mr. Daks is gonna have to hold the forts, do everything he can and more, and give you guys the action for the time being. But as we say, it's always a best of 3, and upcoming for our first map will be a classic one. It's Everdream LE. New map pool. We're gonna be saying goodbye to this map very, very soon. And, you know, it's a little sad to see this one coming, but the real question here is, what's gonna be the plan between these two players? Don't forget, we're gonna be going to a Gold to Diamond bracket first before the Masters Plus. So if you guys are just tuning on in, you already know which matchup you're gonna be getting here. So 2 matches here from Gold to Diamond, and we're gonna have 3 from Masters Plus just to represent, just to see what's gonna be going on. And personally, I cannot wait to get into the action. But before we get into that, do not forget, guys, that this tournament would not be possible without our sponsors, Pure PC, as well as Block 101. This is their show. This is from them, allowing us to get such a good prize pool. And thank God that Pure PC is supporting us even further in the Gold to Diamond bracket, because they are also giving away that additional Gold to Diamond prize. It is the Fansec K613 Fighter TKL2, courtesy of Pure PC. This is just complete support and amazing to behold. But yeah, anyway, I really cannot wait to see what this one's gonna be all about, and hopefully we can get Mr. Commissioner into the setup soon. We can of course represent the games here yet again. But this is looking to be a pretty nice one. We are gonna be seeing a PvZ again. And in the meantime, guys, if you do want to check a few things out, of course there are brackets to watch out for. But in any case, it's high time to get into the action. It's high time to get into the game. And it really feels like this can be it. We'll be able to take the win, though. Will it be Garchuu or will it be Jomski? Will we see Garchuu again in the upper echelons of the top parts of Gold to Diamond? Or will it be the debut of a Zerg player here, courtesy of Jomski? They are in it to win it, and they are in it to earn it. So let's get it on, let's get it done, and let's get into the matchup. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the round number 4 broadcast. This time is gonna be a PvZ, and it's looking pretty spicy to say the least. Introducing first, here on the bottom left of Everdream LE, it is your blue Protoss, and he is looking to return back into form. Can you make it, though? That's gonna be the question. His name is Garchuu. And his opponent, this guy has been tearing it up in the Gold to Diamond bracket, and he's doing quite a lot to begin with to represent the Zerg race. Seems like he's gonna be going all yellow this time, and he is on the northeast side of Everdream LE. His name is Jomski. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. We got our 2 players good to go. And from what I remember here, Garchuu, he has made it to, I believe, the semifinals before. He has made it to the finals, I think, into the previous quarantine tournament. In the meantime, for Jomski, well, more or less a debut for me here, and he's doing such a good job so far. In any case, though, this is, of course, your Gold to Diamond bracket. If you guys want to check out the brackets over there, they are going to be linked down below in the chat. But in this case, though, it's going to be hatchery first here for the side of Jomski. He's going to be going for that pool as well. In the meantime, we are going to see the standard Nexus first here for the side of Garchuu. But he does go for the Nexus before the core into this one. Interesting enough, it's all about the expansions here in a PvZ. We keep mentioning that being such a big deal to begin with. And from what I've heard, though, that we've already gotten a few buys here and there. So this matchup, the 2 games we're going to be highlighting here will be 1 semifinal for the next one. In the meantime, we already have 1 semifinal set on up, which is actually going to be, who is that? We got Daks. Oh, that's Zerg. So we already have a Zerg in the semifinals. And we will also have GLG, I believe. Yeah, I think it's GLG there representing Terran. So already we see a Zerg and its Terran representative. So history has been made. Question is though, will we see history here if Jomski can deny a Protoss player to make it into that top 4 batch? You know, feels like it's gonna be a big deal here to see no Protoss for our matchup. And, you know, I cannot wait to see what this one's gonna be all about, as this probe gonna be, at the very least, trying to run on away. We do see the Stalkers, though, being built, as well as Warp Gates, and Garchuu going straight for the Twilight Council. Gonna be a pretty early one here, and now seems like he wants to go for the tech. He wants to go for an upgrade as soon as possible. Question is, though, is this gonna be a glaive opening? Is this gonna be anything else? Will this just be Blink Stalkers to try and go for the horizon, as it's gonna be already a third base being built up by Jomski? Everdream, a map on the small side, sure, but at the same time, very, very effective. Just go for the macro. Very, very effective to go for 3 base here as the Zerg player. And we can see that Jomski's already wanting to do that for the time being. One Adepto already sent on in. So yes, we are going to see the glaives immediately. And Garchuu, his objective here is to try and harass Jomski as much as possible. Hurt that middle line where it counts. And we can maybe see a macro-oriented game, as we said before. That's now 3 gates. It's out to 4. And this is going to be a really, really timely push here from Garchuu. He is good to go for the glaives and get as much damage as possible. Second pylon also built in behind. He's going to need that supply for those warp cycles. And the Prism also into this one. Now, does Jomski know that this is coming? He has seen the Twilight Council, no. So he knows he has to be very, very careful of what is to come. He's adding on to more of those queens. He's also getting roaches. So good timings here from Jomski to try and counter-attack if need be. And in case the Zerg is getting a scout, sees exactly what's up with the wall, and now gonna be hanging on around for the time being. This is the Adepto, ready to go. Warp Prism gonna be there. It's time to see a cycle. It's time to see some Warpins. And pylons, and DTs in behind. Now, this has become more of a popular build nowadays. You go for the depth push, and then you suddenly complement them with DTs. Why, oh, why does that happen? It's because you're gonna be looking to add in some extra DPS out of nowhere. Problem is, though, when you are gonna go for the Warp Prism approach, you are also gonna expect some Spore Crawlers there, and you already see that Jomski is getting Spore Crawlers onto natural. He's expecting maybe some air harassment, but he's gonna be surprised to see that it's gonna be more and more of the Warp Prism here, more and more of the Adepts. But at the very least, this has to be Garchuu right now, building his units outside of those bases. The Glaives are online. They're good to go with 4. And Jomski, scouting things out. Sees the Robo Facility. He knows that something is coming for him. And as the pylons are being built, this does mean Garchuu is trying to get as much supply as possible. But here comes the first cycle. Jomski, though, already going for the absolute realization with the roaches, with the queens. They are getting in the way, and Jomski able to respond in kind. They're able to respond very, very well. He's getting more of these roaches. This is going to be a little too tanky for the Adepts to handle with, and Garchuu has to just back on out for the time being. Time though to see what these Adepts are going to be all about. And here comes the Shades yet again, looking to go in behind Garchuu right now, trying to go for the focus of prods onto the natural, but cancels out to harass the third base instead. But look at this, Jomski keeping the Zerglings as well as the Queen still in position, and as the Roaches are trying to move on forward as well, it's going to be still Garchuu making our Roach have split decisions every single time. Here we go though with the Swarm yet again. Garchuu going to be keeping up on the third base, but with the Roaches right now in position, it's going to be really good for Jomski. The Psionic Transfer will take a while to be on cooldown, as well as be set up to try and get the Shades all the way to the other side. And look, the cleanup here from Jomski, very well effectively done on the defense. And this is our Zerg holding the line and looking good to push on forward even more. 3 base setup versus 2. This does force Garchuu to go into Immortal instead just to defend against this. And even though the Dark Shrine is into play, I don't see Garchuu doing anything with this for the time being unless that Warp Prism can find a way home. And there you go. It's gonna be 1 DT now into the fray. Question is though, can it actually sneak on through? Does Garchuu know that the main base and the natural have any detection? Already heal spotted out, and these DTs are gonna be pretty much useless here. Even though the Queen is going for a 1v1, we have a Roach trying to help out Garchuu right now, keeping this thing in the shadows for the time being in the middle of these bases. So it can be a quick little surprise. But in any case though, the Adept timing failed here, and Garchuu right now is on the back foot. He has gone into tech that is pretty much useless by this point, and that's the bad thing about going for an Adept push. Like, it's such a good upgrade for Adepts, but being stuck on the Adepts in the first place kinda hurts you in the end. It just doesn't work, especially against different compositions. And hey, it really just goes to show that We saw Jomski answering back as things are happening. We see some DT, the DT actually getting a few slice and dices there. 5 drones do go down in the first place. And Evo Chamber going to be up and online. But now Jomski allowed to play the macro. He's going to be going for Constitution. He wants to go for the Roach Ravager push into the near future, as he's also getting the Overseer here just in case to get some good scouting. Question is though, what's the plan right now for Garchuu? Seems like he might be going into Charizard Archon next on the list. Jomski, though, in the meantime, has to be careful with these queens. Now, in essence, even though the queen sees the DT, it still can't win that 1v1. But against the Roaches, you know it's gonna die very, very quickly. Garchuu feeling confident. He's getting enough in the army there. The DT has slowed things down on to Jomski's side. And Garchuu right now going to be going for a third base even on the worker count. And this should be the time that if Jomski is going to be chilling on that, he should be going for that fourth base. He should be having an Overseer just to protect it to begin with. And this Overseer going for the scout sees everything coming. And he has to be careful right now because he might be out macroed by his Protoss opponents into the near future. So what's the plan right now for Jomski? He's getting some drones. He's adding some workers. He's going for the fort as expected. He is on Lair Tech though, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him get more than that +1 later on, as it feels like the game has slowed to a little bit of a crawl because both sides are just waiting for one to move against this. And Mortal's going to be into the fray. There we go with the shield batteries. And interesting that Garchuu refuses to go for the attack. I still think that having all of these Immortals right now, he can back a punch and he can actually harass this fourth base coming online. Jomski, though, in the meantime, he only has 25 roaches, and that sounds like a big deal, but if you add this Archons to the mix, if you add in the sentries to go for some really good force fields, then you can actually try to cut off that army. So for now, Garchuu playing passive allows him to get a third base sure, which is also a good idea, but I do want to see him make sure that his opponent is stuck on the same wavelength as him, stuck on the same kind of base setup. And you know that Protoss will be doing a lot better there in 3 base versus 3 base against the Zerg. But in any case, Jomski right now going for the all-ground approach. Hydra's going to be into play. Wouldn't be surprised to see Lurkers as well to try and counter out the Immortals, the Archons, add more DPS into the mix. And in a case like this, can't wait to see a 200-200 fight because that seems like the tempo here. And you know, in the Golden Iron bracket, it happens more often than not. It feels like when you look into it, it's like, okay, it's time for the game to slow on down, and it's time for these two players to just get the biggest army they can and push on. For now, though, Garchuu finally realizing situation. He's gonna be pushing on even here, so we'll see what's gonna be all about. You know, you gotta step up your game, and you gotta step up or shut up. As Garchuu right now is looking to go for the push. High Templar being warped on in as well. This warp for him has been instrumental in all honesty for keeping the front line alive. And I'm very excited to see what this is going to be all about. Jomski, though, in the meantime, already congregating in the middle. And he's going to be looking to go for the push. It seems like those sight lines are in order. Garchuu has been scouted out already. But 22 army supply already the advantage here for Jomski. And since he has that 4 base supply, he has that 4 base economy, he can go for a good cycle of Zerglings here and maybe some Roaches into the mix if need be. But this fight is going to be instrumental here for both sides. Whoever wins this fight can dictate the pace of this game. And we'll find out if either side can win this tug of war. As the Hydra's going to be caught out already in the front line. Garchuu shield is popped. And here we go with the push. But Garchuu in the meantime looking to congregate on the high ground. He doesn't want to allow a big concave here from Jomski. And he's trying to catch out a few of these units on the ramp. But no, the force field's too little too late. Good retreat there from Jomski. He knows that he has the base advantage. He knows that he has the army advantage. And he just doesn't want to funnel in these units against the shockwaves from the Archons. So far, so good on both sides, but Garchuu right now realizing that's a ground-based composition, and he's gonna go for extended thermal lance as well as Colossus. Not a bad idea, even though it's not the best against Roaches. It's really good against Hydras, that's for sure, especially if you can go for the A move, if you can go for the starter step away, and it can really add in some extra DPS if need be. I'd love to see Disruptors also here from Garchuu, if he can actually macro and micro them properly, but in a case like this, I really see for Garchuu right now, he's gonna go for the all-army command, he's gonna go for the big A move, and he's gonna look to destroy anything in his Warpaths. Yeah, I gotta commend though. Jomski's been doing a really good job with the reads, and for now, it's interesting that he's also gonna go for the drops here. I'd love to see him actually get a Baneling Nest if he is gonna do something like this, because while Roaches are a pretty interesting drop, adding in some Hydras into the mix makes them kinda like, okay, they're paper thin, and it doesn't really matter what you bring. Your one-way trip drop is all about just harassing some mineral lines. And with Banelings, you know, they just pop in the Overlords to say, okay, time to get the hell out of here, as the Zealot is now patrolled in the first place. We are gonna see some augments for Jomski as well. He's looking to get that Hydra speed. He's looking for that +2. Still though, 10 seconds away from external thermal lance, and Jomski right now is bringing in the hurt, but Garchuu sees this coming. He knows these things are pretty fast, and the Roses right now gonna get dropped onto third base. This time though, Jomski gonna be keeping them separated, and it's a call here for our Zerg, because he's dropping these units down like, you know that Fiesta game where you have to try and catch one thing at a time? This is what Jomski is doing. He's going to be going for the big drop though onto natural. He forced out the warp cycle, so it's pretty smart play there. And Garchuu right now trying to use the Colossus to defend, but 12 probes have gone down. Garchuu right now needs to defend a little better against this one, and he has to get these probes pulled along the way. DT though has been warped in, and this should be cleanup onto this army. Overall, not a bad attack there from Jomski. Takes away the, well, it takes away the attention from going for the push, but Garchuu right now is gonna get a bigger army because of that defense. And in a case like this, Garchuu isn't gonna be too afraid to go for the push. He's also on 4 base right now, as Jomski is gonna get that 5th. And again, it's all about positioning here on Everdream LE. If you can play the ramps as the Protoss, then you're gonna be in for a good time. And this is going to be high time for Garchuu to try and defend against these Archons, against these Zealots. And here we go with the push. The charge slots are good to go. Garchuu in the meantime realizing situation. And apparently a few drones have gone down. But Garchuu right now keeping the death ball all together now. And they are just going to be looking to cook up anything along the way. 122, so on the 10 army. Here we go with a huge amount of warp cycles. High Templar gonna be in. We do see the Zealots as well. Guard shields right now gonna get popped. And Garchuu buying his time to try and get Archons against. He doesn't have Psionic Storm, but he is going to be walking into the Lurkers. And Jomski looking for the 2-prong attack in behind. He's bringing in the Roaches. The Lurkers in the meantime going to be in a good spot. And Jomski going to be losing on. But Garchuu has to keep these instrumental units alive. The Immortals are still there. The Archons are still there. The Colossus is still there. And the problem right now for Jomski, even though he cleans up the Zealots, with the Immortals, the Archons all staying on, these tanky units are ready to go yet again. And this is just Garchuu looking to clean up this base, but he has to realize right now is he cannot overextend into this one. If he loses a fight here, this game is going to be completely over. So for Garchuu, getting this one base is so solid. That's Lurkers going down alongside all of that. And he can go for the pokes and the prods, but Jomski is now looking to regroup, looking to get more of his Hydras into play, and he's looking for the pokes as much as possible. Pretty good call here from Garchuu. I respect the restraint play here from our Protoss, but right now he is gonna be having to get the hell out of there because there's a lot of units. For now though, Jomski not actually getting a concave, and Garchuu right now is gonna be getting a good spot on, but the Lurker in behind going for the Colossus instead. Garchuu gonna be having the back on now. This is gonna be our Protoss player caught with his pants down, but Jomski gonna be walking into this one. He loses a few more units. The recall is there, and oh my god, this fight. I cannot really tell in a way who's going to be winning it out in the end, though. It's still Jomski with the triple army counts, and that's what I've been trying to say. If Garchuu loses a little too much, he's not going to have the best thing to defend, and Jomski can actually get this push going even more so. Very, very dangerous. I really think that he should have just backed out after getting this space. He got that push. He saw the army already good to go. Got a few more pickoffs here and there. And sure, it is easier to deal with the Hydras in the first place since the concave isn't there to maximize DPS. But with Lurkers in behind, it forced the relocation, allowed the Zerg to push even further and further, maximize the amount of damage being done. And with the +2, it is no joke whatsoever. These Archons right now just being given for free. Garchuu has to keep an eye out on what is to come. 54 army to 94 right now. This is the Zerg, though. Still have it back on out. The amount of AoE here from Garchuu is looking pretty scary. And I wouldn't be surprised to see him get even more because he already has 2 of these robo facilities into play. He's trying to get more Colossus into this one. And the thing to note is also on +2 ground weaponry. So he is really trying to bring in the hurt against his opponents. But man, oh man, this death ball looking to be pretty solid to begin with. Tanking those Lurkers, though, something interesting to really note. It feels like the Lurkers were busy with the Zealots, and just, like I said, external thermal lance helping the Colossi stay away from the range, get the cook on. Observers really well timed as well. And in the end, with the Archons and the Immortals not really stepping on those spines, it just wasn't enough. It was all about the Zealots in the front line. It was all about them getting all the damage there. And you can see right now in terms of the macro department, these 2 players are pretty sublime, but in the micro, it really feels like they're just smashing heads into each other, and I do want to see one of these 2 players do something a little different to try and figure out how to win this match. So I keep saying, guys, in Gold to Diamond, it's either one of the 2 things you're really good at. It's macro or micro, and you're trying to figure out the other parts of the coin. When you're in Masters Plus, you expect greatness in both. And in a case like this, it really feels like this series can go for a long haul because these guys like to build bigger armies. But Jomski right now looking to go for the catch, but Garchuu is ready for it. And as the Lurker is going to be going for the burrow, the problem right now for Jomski is he doesn't have any of the Lurker upgrades. So these Lurkers take quite a bit of time to actually get the DPS on. And you can see the results there as Jomski has brought in the Vipers to try and go for the clouds. But like I'm saying, these things aren't as good as they used to before. Like, if you want to make Lurkers really good, you have to get the talents, you have to get the Spines upgrade. It adds the range, it adds the burrow speed, and then and only then, they are a force to be truly reckoned with. But this time, with Extended Thermal Lance and the Immortals tanking up that damage, it feels like Garchuu is just scoffing against all the impact these Lurkers are supposed to do. So by this point in time, we do get the Hive. And as I'm waiting for the Lurker to start spitting out a few things here and there, at least these Vipers can go for some really good Daks. So Jomski realizing situation, Clouds and Daks gonna be instrumental for this fight. Blink though on 2 units at the same time. We are gonna get the Shadow Strike or whatever it's called. We are gonna get that, as well as the Blink itself from the Stalkers. So it seems like for Garchuu, he's realizing that he's gonna need movement into this one. But as I say that, oh no, these units might get caught out, but still the funnel is there. And Jomski knows that with Garchuu set up every single time to intercept onto the ramp, that's gonna be a spot of trouble. But there you go with the Daks. Colossi, no match for those tongues. But in a case like this, Jomski looking for a push. He's a little passive into that one. He's taking some free hits. And Jomski right now, he's gonna lose the Lurkers yet again because the Archons aren't gonna be able to get on closer. But in behind all of this, these are the Zealots right now going for the catch. And Garchuu feeling absolutely confident after this one. He doesn't care that these have been some yoinks onto the Colossi because these Zealots are good to go. Here we go again. It's time for the Archons to tank up the damage. The Immortals getting DPS on in behind. And Jomski has the back on the way. The range game is going good for Garchuu. The catch game is also solid right now. And even though +2 is good to go, Garchuu still defends against the bigger army. So unfortunate here for Jomski. He's building a few more units here and there, but I think he's lacking the critical information. Never mind though, he's realized it. And he queues them both up. He knows he needs it, he needs it fast. His bases though are running out of steam. And then 2 of his bases will not have the economy anymore. Same thing though here for Garchuu. But technically, with 4 base economy here for Jomski, he has to be careful on how much money he's going to be using, especially on that gas department. Investing a lot on the Vipers, on the Lurkers, going to be instrumental into this one. And at the very least, he's looking for more and more of these expansions. And for now, I think the game plan here for Garchuu is to try and bully one of these lesser defended bases. He's looking to cut off gas production, not really the minerals too much into this one. He wants to make sure the higher tiers of tech units aren't going to be online, so he can just bully with the Colossi, he can just bully with the Immortals, and here we go with +3 going online. In any case though, it really feels like this is going to be a grade school game where you just smash heads into one big fight, and that's going to be that. But I gotta say, I really commend what Garchuu is doing right now with his Zealot drop. Unfortunately, it will not be enough. And in terms of macro, these two guys are always on point, getting as many bases as possible, realizing situation here, Legacy of the Void. And for now, though, the situation is our Zerg is on the east side. But you see the idle time here for both of our players. They do need to realize what's going on into this game because whoever can do more actions that are effective here can really make a difference. And look at that, Jomski right now setting on up with the Lurkers again, but Garchuu looking to dominate this, and with the Observers out in front, Jomski has the back on the way. The upgrades for the burrow is there, sure, but the Spines are even more essential in a fight like this. And it's all about positioning right now for Jomski, and he's just unable to do so. We are seeing potential basically being wasted on those Lurkers. And Garchuu, the thing about it, these Immortals are truly playing to their namesake. Look at this, 23 kills on this one, 18 kills on this one. I do believe that some of these are new, but sure, it really feels like there are veterans in this roster. I can say that they're finally, the Lurkers are going to be in their maximum stakes, and I wonder what Garchuu is going to be up to now. What kind of complementary units is he going to be going on? He does not have Psystorm, so he's not going to be going for the Zaps, but Jomski is going to make this now scary, as you can see the Spines getting the DPS on, and Garchuu just walks into the minefield. Here we go! Finally, Jomski will get the critical information he's been looking for, and Garchuu has to run on away, but I do believe this is going to be game, set, and match. It was only a matter of time till Jomski took the win with the Lurkers, and as soon as he clicked those upgrades buttons, he is just good to go to dominate into the game. This is what I'm talking about. Lurkers are just so strong with the upgrades online, with that Hive, and late game is the best game here for Jomski. He will take the win here for our Zerg to get one ahead in the quarterfinals. So there you go, guys. It just feels like, there's not that much harassment from both sides, and they do want to go for the big armies, but in the end, if you let the lurkers have the upgrades, it's just so difficult, right, to mobilize. Extended Thermal Lance allows you to win against lurkers, basically, in a state where you have the upgrades and they don't, and usually get that Robo Bay, right, as Zerg has to go all the way to high tech to try and get it done. But no, in that scenario, though, Garchuu just not attacking those outermost bases. That could have been an interesting opportunity for him to shut down that gas production, to shut down the amount of lurkers. But by that point, he decides to go on the outskirts. Jomski is feeling confident, feeling everything is just going his way, and he was just good to go to destroy his opponent. So we are seeing a macro-oriented match into this one. Really interesting, though, that we're going to be starting off our day with looking to be longer games. But hey, it's all fun here, and I gotta commend Jomski there. He figured out what he needed. He finally figured out what the critical information was, and he took the win in pretty convincing fashion as soon as those lurkers were good to go. So that's all you gotta do, guys. You just gotta realize what the situation is. You have to understand what are you lacking. Sure, you have the units, but can I make these units better? +3, good starts, but well, when you see something a little bit different, you know you have to do something even more so, and adding in those upgrades are just instrumental to win at that game. Luckily, Jomski figured that out after 20 minutes. Problem also for the Protoss, I do believe, is you're playing against lurkers and you don't go for Sky Toss. And we've seen that problem before in the Masters bracket, right? We've seen some issues that, okay, this guy is forgetting to go for Stargate, and sometimes you really just focus on going for ground weaponry, especially when you go for the +3. You don't want to go for air because you already invested so much. And for Garchuu, a little bit of a lapse in judgment. I'd love to see some Voiders. I'd love to see some Tempest, in all honesty. And I would love to see, well, the Oracle help out as well. I think the Voiders are really good right now against many things. And they are a really good unit. We're seeing the return of Proxy Void Ray. We're seeing the return of Void Ray Adept compositions. And it seems like that, it's something to really play into. But looking into that matchup, I would love to see a little bit more of the support. The Oracles could be cool with the Stasis Wards in behind. They would also pop those Revelations. Maybe if you went for early Phoenixes, you could have gone for a few lifts or two. But in the end, it's all about disabling the lurkers from getting that DPS on. Maybe even go for carriers if you feel ballsy that, especially if you see Jomski invest so much more in the lurker rather than the Hydra. Then carrier has arrived. Always fun to see. Always a scary unit in the super late game when you have so many of them good to go. But in any case, it is another macro map coming our way. It is Pillars of Gold next on the list. And what are your thoughts on that first map? We really saw that there could have been so many opportunities for both sides to actually harass each other. The timings, the counter timings, the attacks, the counter attacks, and the new compositions. It could have either gone both ways. And in a case like this, I really feel like whoever can take advantage and realize the situation a little quicker can make these games a lot quicker and can get the victory. But Pillars of Gold, one of your macro maps into the map pool here. And let's get it on. Let's get it done. It is our Zerg player, though, with a 1-map advantage. Who will take game number 2? Will we see Garchuu force out game 3? Or will Jomski take the 2-0 sweep? We'll find out into this one. So welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. And it is gonna be time to go at it again. Here we are into game number 2 this time. And whatever your thoughts on the first game, really good to see some discussion there in the comments. But the thing about it is, in the end, it's Jomski getting the critical information that are the upgrades online. And right now, he is 1 ahead. But introducing first, looking for the comeback. Looking to represent the Protoss on the southwest side. His name is Garchuu. And his opponents looking to make history here to deny a Protoss player into the semifinals. Will we see a new race distribution into the Quarantine Tournament number 5 Gold to Diamond bracket? He's on the top right of Pillars of Gold, and his name is Jomski. Jomski right now with a 1-0 lead, and a while ago, he just had Roaches, he had Hydras, he had Lurkers, he had an amazing counterattack. And, that was that to take the dub. Still though, we are going to be getting into the late game. We are going at it as much as possible. And really, it feels like it's going to be all about trying to see who has the better macro again. It's going to be Hatchery immediately here for Jomski. Into the pool we get as well. And Garchuu in the meantime, going again for the gateway into the Nexus first before the core. So it really goes to show that these two players are really focused on the macro, and we can see that, right? You can see in terms of the micro, they're kind of slipping in the way. They're looking to, at the very least, make sure that they have the biggest armies that can work with. And in all honesty, it has been a spicy affair into this matchup. I cannot wait to see a little bit more, and I want to see what Garchuu is going to do into this one. He knows now that if he goes all the way into the late game and he might get overrun by lurkers, he has to make a better decision against that. And I love to see this sky toss here. It has become a lot more popular in this patch, and it really goes to show that the game just reinvents itself every single time. For now though, as we are going to be getting into the game, we still have another match after this for Golden Diamond before we get into Masters Plus. We are only going to have 5 matches today. And next time rather, on our next round, we're gonna have 4 matches, which are the 2 Golden Diamond semifinals, as well as the 2 lower bracket matches that are left there. And then on Saturday next week, we are gonna have the 2 grand finals back-to-back, best of 5 between Gold to Diamond and Masters Plus. It is gonna be live broadcast, and it really will be all down to that to see who is gonna be getting the bigger slice of the pie. Because everyone who shows up on that Saturday is in the money, in contention to get the biggest prize of them all, and I cannot wait. And we really thank you guys for the support you've given here in the Quarantine Tournament number 5 tournaments. But yo, enough about that. You know, I had time to talk about a few things here and there because I really expect these guys to just go for macro. And you see the results. 3 base immediately here for Jomski. In the meantime, Garchuu even going to go for the more defensive orientation with the Stalkers instead. And the recall right now to try and save this. 28 HP. Oh, a little too late. The DPS is there. And we of course see the initial volley of units from both sides. It's important to have the 6 Zerglings. It's important to have at least 1 unit on the outskirts because you at least show it's a heat check. And it makes sure that you're playing standard. It's telling your opponent that you gotta be putting up with this one by keeping it up. And Garchuu right now can be defending it against the Stalkers so far. With the Stalkers rather so far. Zerglings looking to get on through, but it's not gonna happen. And as Warp Gate is going online, here we go again. So we are gonna see another Wild Cancel push from Garchuu. He's going for the Forge, and he's gonna get that Warp Prism. But I do believe this time it's not gonna be the Adepts here. It might be the Blink Stalker. I think we're gonna see the Stalker Immortal Sentry composition instead. And we'll find out what Garchuu is gonna be up to into this one. Getting that Forge, still looking for an upgrade as well. And he might be looking to get into a 3rd base soon. But with the Stalkers right now looking to get the drops on, it might be actually Garchuu playing into the map itself. The thing about Pillars of Gold, you can always blink on forward from the 3rd base to the primary very, very easily and use the Warp Prism as an escape route. So I'd love to see that from Garchuu. I'd love to see him play exactly into the map. And there you go. Blink Stalkers are going to be the way to go. Ground Weapons +1 also going to be on the list. And the Observer, an even more essential addition into this one. When you have the Observer, you don't need to rely on the Warp Prism being a pit stop spot. You actually do anything with it. You can move around the map. And speaking of that one though, it seems like for Garchuu, he's trying to figure out where his opponent is expanding, and he realizes, okay, if I go to the north side, he'll spot this drop. I'll go over to the east instead. But Patter, we see the Overlord keeping an eye out, and with the Zergling seeing this one coming, it's time to go for the drops onto the Stalker, get the shutdown, allow Garchuu to go for a 3rd base, allow Garchuu to also go hunting for all the information seekers here from Jomski's side. But we saw a while ago that Garchuu was unable to do anything with the Adepts, with how Jomski responded in kind with the Roaches, and we are gonna see it again. But for Jomski though, my only worry here is he needs to connect these bases with creep. And as soon as I say it, I don't know if this guy has been watching my cast or not, because I always keep mention of that, and he is going to be dropping that creep tumor down ASAP. There we go though, with the Queens already in the spots. Roach is going to be looking to intercept as well. And overall, Garchuu trying to go for the harassment, and it's not going to pan out whatsoever. Jomski is just able to really react in time. It's really good for him because he can go back to playing his macro game. He can go back to playing his bases. And he's going to be very, very happy to do what he can to begin with. Yeah, but in any case, though, we have 5 matches, guys. Don't forget, we have 5 matches for today and then 4 for next week. As Garchuu right now, going to be at least going for drops here and there. Still, though, Blink Stalkers, we are going to get +1 Immortal also next on the list. And in this case, Jomski will have to contend against that kind of army with Lair Tech. He's going to need the Roach upgrades as soon as possible to allow the mobility to happen. He might also consider going for the Mutas here to go for the Harass. Spire wouldn't be a bad idea if he does have some gas here and there. But looking at his gas intake right now, he's only on 2 Extractor in all honesty. So we're not going to see Ravagers too much. We're not going to see Roaches. And I really don't think we're going to see Spire anytime soon here from our Zerg. Should be more Zerglings instead to try and go for this round, to try and go for the harassment. Run by would be pretty essential also to try and get into the natural and even harass this third base, because Garchuu right now is really going into that mech ball. We're seeing more and more sentries, and there's going to be some big force fields here for Garchuu, as well as Blinkstalker Micro. On the other side though, Jomski realizing the situation. He needs to add in the quality of these Zerg units, and Evo Chambers already being built to begin with. For now though, as the spawn larva are going to be dropping, there we finally see the extractors being built. And this looks like to me that Jomski is going to be going for a cycle of drones, as it's a Baneling nest actually here for the side of Jomski. Now the Banelings can be a little bit of a bother against sentries especially, and Immortals will be we're gonna get poked by the Zerglings here and there. So I like the call here for Jomski a little bit. I like the fact that he's gonna get the Baneling nest. He can go for the drops as well, but he is gonna be looking into Hydra Tents into this one. So here we go again with the ground weaponry. We're gonna see the ground Zerg into this one. But for now though, if Jomski is going to be taking his resources to try and invest, he has to be very careful, because Garchuu is going to be looking to mobilize with a very, very scary army. And even though Jomski is looking to future-proof, he has to think into the present. And presently, this is going to be a scary, scary force to contend with. Garchuu is on the hunt, is on the push. He's going to be able to catch out this queen. And here comes trouble. Here comes the push. Apparently, it still will survive to begin with. For now though, Garchuu is establishing a foothold, and he's looking to deny a fourth base here. This is what we were talking about a while ago. Garchuu tried to do this already, and this time it's going to be even more successful, because he doesn't even allow Jomski to get that base, to get that cancel. The DPS is scary here, and Garchuu, I'd love to see him go on the attack. I'd love to see him go for the push, because this army is ready to fight for their lives. This Roach composition, sure, it's going to be pretty good, but I feel that even though the numbers are looking to be swarming indeed, with proper micro, with proper utility, Garchuu can just overrun all of this. Blinkstalker is going to be really, really good in a fight like this, especially when you micro them in behind. But Garchuu saying, okay, that's enough. I'm going back. And yeah, we're going to see more onto the macro again. So yeah, I'm really looking into this one. And with Jomski forced to answer with 30 roaches, basically, Garchuu can take a sweet time to expand again. He can go back to the macro. And this really just shows the personality of the player. Garchuu is that type of guy who wants to get to the 200-200. And in a case like this does force Jomski to rack onto something, as Zealots are going to be warped in and dropped onto the main base to try and harass. Because with how Jomski is playing this, he's stuck on the Roaches. He's going to be going for the Hydras. He is going to get ++1. He's going to get the upgrades as well. And apparently, from all of this, Garchuu can look to go for a fourth base. Look to go ahead, and he should be very, very confident to defend against pretty much anything if he positions himself right. Now, a while ago, he could have gone for the attack, sure. He had that upgrade advantage, but I don't think Garchuu knew that. I don't think he was aware that Jomski had no upgrades as of yet. He only had Roaches, no Ravagers, nothing else to complement his composition. And he was just turned off by the amounts of units that were there. But here we go right now. The Bane's looking for Samo down. The Stalkers in the front line. Gonna take the DPS there. But as we say that, you can see that Jomski has lost a lot already. And these Roaches just cannot get close in time. These Immortals are trying to get as much damage as possible. And they do so. The Blinkstalkers to go for the push. And Garchuu is out for blood. This army is still not gonna be enough for Jomski. He just doesn't have the right DPS at the right times. And in a case like this, the Zerglings right now are trying to reinforce. But this is the Warp Prism getting more and more of these units. And Garchuu is feeling that he can just overrun his opponent here and now. Sees the fourth base, says, no sir, you're not gonna do that whatsoever. Gonna shut this down. The Chargers are into the fray, and Garchuu is gonna be doing what we predicted. He is just gonna overrun his opponent no matter what. But we are gonna see the Hydra speed upgrade. This is still looking too scary for Jomski to handle, and Garchuu is making it even bigger. Time for the Archons to get into play. Time for a little bit more of the push, and Garchuu right now still holding back. And yeah, that really feels that this is gonna be the problem here. Without the harassment from Jomski whatsoever, Garchuu is able to get the strongest slow composition that he can get, and this bet ball is the only thing that Jomski is dealing with. He doesn't go for the run away from the boulder tactic, and there you go, GG is called. Garchuu could have won this a lot earlier, sure, but if he is able to defend like that, Baneling's busting onto Stalkers, busting into, well, nothing really of substance, and it's just not gonna be enough, and I would have loved to see those Links, as well as those Banes, go for the middle lines instead, force Garchuu on a do-or-die situation. I don't think, though, by this point, it could have changed the result, because Garchuu just had the advantage from the get-go, shutting down that fourth base, and able to just pretty much scoff out against a Roach composition. But at the very least, we'd see Jomski put up a fight, and if he can go for the harassment here into this game, he can actually catch out Garchuu and his more passive play into this set. But we are all tied up now, 1-1, and we'll be getting into our next game very soon, but that's that. Macro still is king in this series. There you go, guys. You know, gold to diamond, you gotta figure out sometimes why these decisions are being made. And sometimes it really just boils down to how comfortable some of these players are in what they're trying to do. And yeah, it's all good. If that's how you're comfy as, that's what you want to do, then there is no problem whatsoever with how the setup truly is. But in a case like this, we are not done yet, as Garchuu will be able to get map number 2. We are going to be going into map number 3 next on the list, and I can't wait to get into this one, as it seems like it really feels like it's all about the macro here. It does not change whatsoever. These guys just want to play big army versus big army, and with our upcoming map pick, it's something classic yet again. It's something very familiar, and of course, it will be the one that stands eternal. And it is Eternal Empire LE. 1-1 scoreline though. And let's not waste any time. This series is going long already. We are seeing macro on both sides. And yeah, it's gonna be a GG there on to game number 2. But we'll figure out what game number 3 is all about. Will we see Jomski get some pickoffs on the Dwarf Prism, or finally get the Link harassment? Will we see Garchuu know when to attack, know when to go for the push, and know when to swap that sec? So many questions gonna be answered here, and this is gonna be some of the best in the gold to diamond bracket. We are seeing some of the best macro we've seen so far from this bracket, but it's now time to see who can clutch it out, who can take the win as we get into the game. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and here we are on Eternal Empire. This is game number 3, and it is do or die time to see who will make it to the semifinals. Whoever wins this is going to be facing off against the winner of our next match. So you already know that's going to be pretty interesting to say the least, because well, this is going to be a pretty spicy affair. I'm going to be so excited to see what kind of big armies we'll be getting into this matchup. But introducing first though, into the top right of Eternal Empire, I believe he is one of the last hopes here for Protoss to be represented in the gold to diamond brackets. Will we see Protoss not make it? Our 2 matches here will define that. But for now, this man has made it to the top art before, and he's trying to do it again. His name is Garchuu. And his opponent, here on the bottom left instead, he's on that yellow Zerg, and he's trying to make history to join Agent X and put Zerg on its rightful place on the higher echelons of gold to diamond. He is on the southwest right now of Eternal Empire, and his name is Jomski. As we said, guys, unfortunately, due to defaults, we have already gotten one semi-final matchup ready to go, and it will be GLG versus Agent X. So that's 1 Terran versus 1 Zerg, and it really feels like we're getting more and more of a... It's not just a dichotomy, it feels like we're gonna get a trichotomy this time. We're gonna see all 3 races potentially represented here. But you know what the potential is into these series, right? Is the fact that Protoss might not even make it to the semifinals here, which is a far cry from where we started off in the quarantine tournament itself. I remember the first few quarantine tournaments, it's all Protoss, a few Terrans here and there, but it was all Protoss versus Protoss versus Protoss versus Protoss. And at least we are seeing a new wave of players try to do everything here. If you're asking though that what series are we casting today? We're gonna be casting every round 4 matchup. So our 2 gold to diamonds and our upper bracket finals in the Masters plus our lower bracket round number 4. So next time though, we're gonna have 4 matches instead, which is lower bracket round number 5, lower bracket round number 6 on Masters Plus, and the 2 semifinals instead. So I can't wait to see that one happen very, very soon. And the earlier you guys submit your semifinal matches, then the earlier we can do a series, we can do a set, and we can get your games casted. But in any case, though, we see the same old thing. Garchuu likes to go for the gateway into the Nexus, into the Cybercore, into either the Twilight Council or the Robo Facility. Been there, done that, pretty much expected. Jomski in the meantime, also cookie cutter. 1 base, 2 base, 3rd base. Okay, we're good to go. So same openings for both sides. And when we see the Stalkers here for Garchuu, this does mean he's going to be looking to add up the Immortals, the Warpers, and of course the Observers into his collection. We are going to see the mech playstyle here from our Protoss yet again. Sentry's going to be added up to the mix. Not going to be the adept timing that we saw from the first game, but it really feels like Garchuu right now likes to orient himself into the, into the ground. TCC, shout out to TTC for checking out the StarCraft 2 setup. But yeah, all you gotta know is armies hit each other and they have auto aim, so there is no, the skill is mechanical skill involved is where you put the things, and that is that. And love to see you here. I'd love to see the community showing up in full force. This is our only first match, guys, and we are not done yet. We have so many more matches to go on, and with the setup like this, we are gonna see the same old thing. So guys, kwentuhan na tayo. Let's tell some stories. How was your day? How was your quarantine experience? Because in all honesty, this is literally the same game we are seeing again. And I feel like the difference maker here has to be who makes a mistake first, right? Who's the one who slips up? And I gotta ask you guys in chat, what is the most stressful thing about StarCraft to you? Do you feel like you get more stressed when you make a mistake? Do you feel like you get stressed when you're trying to do build order? When you're going for micro? When you're trying to make a decision? Tell me about it. Because for me, StarCraft 2 is just stressful in general. It's like, the only person you can blame is yourself, and it feels bad to see your units just die under your command, and it's a sad react for me there. So I gotta say, I think the thing that makes me sad the most has to be, in all honesty, build orders. It's the thing I don't like the best about RTSs in the multiplayer setup, but it is the way to go because you optimize your gameplay, right? And if you get a good build order, you're gonna have more units, you're gonna have more income. But for me, I hate looking into an Excel sheet just to try and play a game, but it really is what it is, and that's the nature of this game. If you can be optimal, you can be as best as you can, then you can get the best results. And we see that, of course, in the Masters Plus bracket, well-timed no matter what. And we're seeing it here in the Gold to Diamond matchup, but it's all about macro. But look at the Queens, positioned well. Garchuu right now can't even drop these Stalkers because the Zerglings are just there, chittering on the way. They are running after the Warpersem as much as possible. But I like this for Garchuu. He's gonna go over to the high ground, and I think one of the bane elements of Eternal Empire has to be the fact that you do need to realize that you want to be on the same gap. You want us to be on the same floor against your opponent. Because Garchuu right now going to be from the east side, already getting into natural. But this has to be Warpersem saving the day. And there you go. Queens though looking to go for the reinforcements. The creep is there to try and go for the chase. But only two of these drones will go down. And Jomski is already with the roach timing yet again. So here we go again. Defensive roach is good to go. Lairtech going to be here. And interesting enough, since we see Jomski not having to deal too much against the Protoss, it's not gonna be the biggest army. Sure, he has a bigger army right now, but it's not gonna be the biggest before the Lairtech. So we already something a little bit different. Jomski is orienting himself for a future game. He's also going for the Evo Chamber right now, and I think that Jomski is looking to get his timings a little earlier into this one to try and fight against his opponent. But Garchuu in the meantime, he has to be very careful. 9 HP, and this is where this all falls apart. Now, the Warpersem and 4 Stalkers dying, that's huge. That's a big investment there from our Protoss. And this basically tells Garchuu that you can't attack anymore. Like, sure, he can try, and he can look to go for it. But the fact of the matter is, he isn't gonna have that Warpersem for reinforcements. Remember, guys, the Warpersem is a transport unit that basically turns into a mobile pylon. And without that reinforcements, that's that. That's the game. So Garchuu realizes the situation, has to go for the 3rd base instead to respond. He cannot go for the harassment, and this is really good for Jomski because he is just left to do whatever the hell he wants, and he's gonna go for the Hydra then again. That's huge. That is huge. And I'm glad you guys are giving this one a chance. And I'm glad you guys are looking to enjoy this one. This is round number 4, so we still have round number 5 in the grand finals into the future. And if you want to talk about the tournament, this is our month-long local PH tournament for StarCraft 2. It's a new format, and we see a lot of success here. Unfortunately, you know, we see some forfeits as well. And of course, we're trying to discuss what's the best way to go about things. But in all honesty, it really has been such a good time, and we're glad to get the biggest participation we've ever seen. I think we got 50+ players into quarantine this time because it's a lot more accessible to so many different people. And if you are Gold to Diamond, you can join the Gold to Diamond bracket. If you are Masters Plus, you can join the Masters Plus bracket from the Philippine scene. We're just getting bigger and better, guys. And you know, it's been almost a full year of these tournaments, and I'm glad you guys are still with us, because you know, I can be all sappy like this because this is the same thing. Whatever I said in game number 2 is gonna be happening in game number 3 rather. But here we go with the strategic recall, and the Zerglings are gonna finally do the run by that we have been looking for. This is the run by we have been punished, ladies and gentlemen, and this is gonna be the run by being punished itself. But at the very least, that's a recall cooldown bought out, and if Jomski can do this again, he is gonna have such a good lead coming into this one. He's already stopped the war for some harassment, and he is using these Zerglings to the best degree. Blazestar still going for the chase, trying to get rid of these pests. But we have finally seen signs of life from Jomski on the aggressive side, and he is going to be looking to do even more on a map like this. A really good call for Jomski. Please do it more. This is you. This is you showing me that you have it in you. You have already gotten the critical information a while ago with the lurker upgrades. It's time for the second bit of critical information. It's time for you to go for the Zergling run bys, because with the strategic recall on cooldown for a very, very long time, this is perfect for Jomski to just keep the harassment on, get rid of the workers there against the Protoss, who's gonna have a hard time to keep the worker count up if he loses so many. And he has the bigger army, sure, but here we go again. These are gonna be the reconstitution as well as the range. So the speed, and there is some range here onto the ground-based composition, but Jomski still needs to be careful because extended thermal land's gonna be going online soon. But this Colossus is gonna get caught out, and the Giraffe, an endangered species, will be caught out by the poachers here instead. Jomski though going to the high ground. Force fields are huge, and it's Jomski. Please just fight. Please just fight. Please just okay. There you go. Just the Zealot is alive. How does this guy survive? Big force field. So remember when I told you there was a big moment a while ago? Scratch that. That was another big moment. So here we go again. Here we go again. Micro really is not the best suit for our two players right now, but that is really huge from Garchuu. He found out where to get the force fields on, and he cut off a pretty good chunk of that army. In all honesty, the army count is coming a little closer to even. Question is though, do we get another Warp Prism into this one? Yes, we do. So Garchuu can reinforce, and he is done with the middle one on the aggression instead. Force field right now to try and do it, and the Zealot that was a hero a while ago is still alive. He doesn't care if he's losing 2 arms and a leg. He is still ready to fight for hire. And it's fun to see Garchuu right now trying to play the aggressor, but in a case like this, he's going to be down on that basis. It's going to be 3, 4, and 5 bases here for Jomski coming our way. And here comes the harassment. Jomski is doing it, guys. He's finally realizing what is best to do. Shield Battery, though, giving some more HP to the Zealot, sure, but it's the Roaches right now bringing up the fight, forcing a Warp Cycle, and Garchuu cannot reinforce, cannot push now. All the harassment that Jomski is doing. It feels like, you know, we're seeing this. We're seeing basically the evolution of Jomski as a player. And you know what else is evolving here is the +2 on Garchuu's side. So that's a scary sight to behold. +1/+1 though, ready to go here for Jomski on to both the range weaponry as well as the armor. So he should have a good fight, as +2 also going to be going online. But Garchuu, it's still pretty scary with that +2. These giraffes, these colossi can easily melt anything along the way, especially the Hydras. And right now, this is also pretty smart from Garchuu to poke a few of these overlords. But Jomski has already future-proofed himself again. He's already ready with 200 supply on the overlords themselves. And it's an observer speed, right? Is this observer speed or is this warp prism speed? I can't really tell sometimes when I look into it. But he's getting speed, and I'm gonna find out in 3, 2, 1 basically. Gravitic booster. So where is that? Who's gonna go fast? Who's gonna go fast? Is it the warp prism? I'm kind of like spazzing out right now, but Psystorm is the big one here because we haven't seen Garchuu do this before. And with a speed upgrade there onto, well, the transport unit, I believe. Where is the warp prism? It's just there. Okay, cool. I can't wait. Can't wait to see what this is going to be all about. It's Garchuu right now in the middle of the map. He's going again with the Zealots, but Lurk is already here, and Jomski is prepared for whatever is to come. And Garchuu going to be sending this away. He can fly on into the horizon. +3 right now going online as well. And it seems like our 2 balls are getting bigger and bigger already. It's going to be closer and closer for Garchuu, though, to reach that 200-200. Jomski, in the meantime, is almost there. He's actually just sacrificing a few of these units to go for the harassment yet again. And with the supply that he's making here, the supply that he's building on up, he's opening up. It's time for the lurkers to go for a drop. Jomski, this guy wants to play drops, in all honesty. I've seen him do this before with the roaches and the hydras. We're seeing it again. Interesting call. And here we go now with another speed upgrade. It feels like for Garchuu, though. Just trying to mobilize. He's just trying to use all his units as much as possible to get into the right places at the right time. So yeah, I was correct. That was the observer upgrade there. When it's a plus sign, it's the boosters for the observer, and then this one is gonna be the warp prism upgrade instead. So we're gonna get the speed pylon flying on around like Speed Racer. But it's an interesting call that he goes for the observer speed instead, but he has gotten good permissions and good observations with the observer from time to time already in the first map. But I guess this is a bigger map, right, on Eternal Empire. You want to get that speed upgrade to allow yourself to just get the information, the critical information ASAP. But 17 of these probes have already gone down. And the thing about the lurkers is, sure, they had 2 extra bonus damage against armored, but against light units, they are just going to get torn apart because of the splash damage from the Size 6 Spines. Look at this. Jomski is leaving these things alone. They're trying to go for the pokes and the prods. And in the meantime, Jomski gonna lose the Overlord there. Sure, the lurker will go down, but that is that. That is what we've been looking for from Jomski, and he desperately needs to do that even more to win against his opponents. Now the tables have been absolutely turned, and Garchuu with the bigger army, but his worker count is looking absolutely abysmal against Jomski. 3 base effectively here for Garchuu as he needs to rebuild his 4th mineral line versus 5 bases on the Zerg. And for Jomski, this is the perfect time to bring everything in on a silver platter. It's time to feast, says the Zerg Swarm. It's time for them to go for the attack. Let's see what these lurkers are going to be all about. But Garchuu has decided to go on the offensive instead. Lurkers, though, still going to get caught. You can see the damage there, but look at the clouds from the Vipers. Huge! Huge clouds to minimize the damage. And now we are going to even get the talent upgrade as well. So slowly but surely, Jomski is adding up more and more to his collection. He is a servant. He is a man who is learning from his mistakes and then some. And while we are seeing Garchuu play the same old thing at the same time, we are seeing the evolution of our Zerg player. And isn't that what we want to see from Zerg, right? They always trying to evolve. They are trying to do all they can and more to be better, bigger, and more overwhelming against their opponents. And for now, Jomski is doing just that. He's already on +2, as we said. +1 also going to be online on the Carapace. Armor, though, in the meantime, for Garchuu, going to be +1 as well. But the +3 is already there. But the Side Storm is going to be into play. This is going to be Garchuu trying to add in on the DPS. Here we go, though, with the Lurkers getting on down. And the High Templar trying to get to the high ground, but they can't get that mission. And the Abducts are absolutely huge. Jomski getting the advantage here. Blink Stalkers just warping on it just to die. And Garchuu going to be losing out so much there. It's a minefield waiting to happen. Size 6 Spine is going to be going online. If you already saw those Lurkers do maximum DPS without the range upgrade, what do you think is gonna happen with this one up and running? What's a way to go, though? And as we see Jomski go further and further into this bush, we'll see these lurkers right now try to get even more onto the DPS department. Jomski, though, in the meantime, still setting on up again and again. And this is just a creeping barrage, guys. This is just them coming closer and closer. And Jomski has the bank of Zerg ready to go. He has invested full time onto those stonks, and he is just good to go to reinforce whatever he loses. These lurkers are on a one-way trip, sure, but you can see that the rage is there. GG is called, and Jomski will move on to the semifinals. Lurkers is the game, and Jomski is his name. 2-1 victory there. We see the evolution of our Zerg player. He gets the run bys, he gets the harassment, he gets the drops to all work, and he has the better bases, he has the better army, he gets the upgrades, and we see him learn every single time he plays this game. Well played there to Jomski. He moves on to the semifinals. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. GG gonna be called. And wow, oh wow. That really was Jomski taking that victory there. Congratulations to our Zerg player. He's able to win it out, guys. He was just able to win it out. I have to commend him with how he's learned from game number 1 and 2. The problem for Garchuu is he did the same thing. And if you're going to be playing against a player that evolves, a player that learns along the way, then you can see the answers. Lurker upgrades on point. Drops on point. Zergling run by sure happened. Roach run by sure happened. And in the end, He used the high ground to his advantage. He got rid of the high temp. He properly abducted the Colossi. And then Garchuu decides, I'm going to blink forward. And he just dies. Well played there. To Jomski, Garchuu in the meantime, back to the drawing board. And you know, when creativity is just not there, when you're trying to do only one build against your opponent, and your opponent can actually read into it, and he realizes his build is actually good against your build, then that's where it just flies. Because in game number 1, right, it felt like it was Jomski's to win from around, I don't know, like 12, 13 minutes in. Maybe 15, sure. But it just didn't happen because Jomski didn't get the high tech in time, didn't go for the upgrades in time, and Garchuu was allowed to basically defend for his life for quite a while before Jomski had the upgrades good to go. And then on that second game, Garchuu just getting the proper push, the proper time, and it was just him taking that victory with a more refined Blinkstalker build. You know, it was just him showing up the build that we saw in game number 3, in game number 2 to the best degree, and Jomski realizes that I can do the same thing that I did in game number 1, and I was trying to do in game number 2, but I know I have the advantage here. I can beat the ground. Clouds were good, Abducts were good, Viper's such a good spellcasting unit to complement whatever you're trying to do with a ground-based composition. And in the end, it is going to be a result here that Jomski will be favored. 2-1 victory for our Zerg. Well played to him. And yeah, that's going to be that for this first quarterfinal that we'll be broadcasting. Our next one, though, is going to be another PVZ. And this is going to be a good chance to actually see the Protoss race not make it to the semifinals. This one will be G-Boy versus Malapates. And I can't wait what kind of antics we'll be getting into this one. But don't go away. This is the Quarantine Tournament number 5, and we'll be right back after a few minutes.